Yep, says it's
And
live. We are live.
We are live. There we go.
Woohoo!
We did it. Welcome, everybody. Rick's not here tonight.
Yeah, Rick won't be with us tonight. He's on a adventure somewhere.
So the mice will play.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm Steve. And as always, hey. We have Roger.
Roger's shop here, and I'll have to leave here for a little bit, for a short period of time. I don't know exactly when. We've got a customer coming to pick up a rather large order, so I got to take care of that.
Steve, they're gonna leave it to you and I. That's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say line up some CNC questions. Andy's here.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy, and I can answer your CNC questions. Hopefully, if I can't, then Steve can.
I can make something up. Right. Feel free to leave questions down below. Clayton, I saw your posting on I guess Facebook. There's a side of you I didn't know existed.
Oh boy.
He posted some signs and somebody took them.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I thought, wow, that's pretty low. Somebody would do that.
Okay.
Clayton was rough. Yeah.
Hey,
like don't go to Hawaii and mess around.
Right. Nice. I see the next comment here. Jay Don't Plays in the house.
All right. Oh, he's here for Roger. You might have to hang around for a bit. He's got a customer, so.
Nice.
As long as you don't make improper advances to Andy and I.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm saving Roger just for you.
I was gonna say I'm taken, but I don't think that stopped it before. So
I think Roger's taken too.
That's what I'm saying.
So what'd you guys do this week?
Oh, well, it's been like we were talking backstage. It's been super busy, and you know, I hired my first full-time employee, and so this is week 3. And all for content stuff. We're just generating content. And what I found is like, it's flipped everything upside down. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about it. It's going to work out great. And, but growing pains, just, you know, like in any business, I guess, when you have done majority of stuff, like everything is flowed through me, which isn't a good thing, necessarily. And so now it's like, yeah, just all the nuances of what Andy Bird Builds is. And so it's draining. I'm usually drained by the end of the day, but It's going good. We got some great content coming up that we've been finished a video today.
Sweet.
So yeah, I'm excited.
I've been working on a video too for this FL Sun T1 Pro printer. I like it. Nice. And I like it even more now that that Bamboo is doing goofy things. But Roger can talk about that. I'm sure.
I could almost get on a rant. In fact, I posted a video today about Bamboo. Ooh. So, and it wasn't exactly nice.
I've seen a few of those. I didn't see yours yet.
Yeah, mine isn't so much ranting about their firmware thing because I'm off the grid with my printers. I don't go to the cloud at all. But they have said some things, you know, they backtrack real quick, you know, it says, well, you know, we're not going to brick your printer if you don't do this upgrade. But if you go to the terms of service, it's right in there. If you don't keep up with their firmware, your printer will cease to function and stay off the grid.
So they have some kind of heartbeat in there, right? That'll eventually say you haven't updated in 3 months, so I'm just not going to start.
Yeah, there's speculation that there's code in there that there's like a expiration date.
Yeah. Hey, I worked in the software business. We used to do that all the time.
And speaking
not for the same reason, for making sure the customers were current.
Yeah.
We didn't threaten to lock them out.
Speaking of software, I got an email this morning from QuickBooks into it. I'm using a very old version of QuickBooks. It's like 2012 or something like that, but it does everything we need it to do. It's installed on my desktop. All our files are secured on our own server. Well, they're going to discontinue letting you use any desktop software installed before 2022, and now you have to subscribe to them, pay a monthly fee, and keep everything in the cloud.
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen.
There's other accounting applications out there.
Yeah.
And now I use their tax program, and they every year I buy the one I install on my computer, and every year they put the press on me to we have a cloud version, and
Oh yeah,
like,
TurboTax.
Yeah, I'm not putting my financial information out on your cloud.
So for the people that don't know the 3D printing drama, can you guys jump into that? Like it feels a little like a bait and switch, maybe.
Kind of.
It's a little bit. What they've come out with is, we've got this new firmware in the name of security that you're going to. Well, originally they said you were going to have to do it. Well, now they really backtracked, but there's a lot of gaslighting going on too with it, and a lot of speculation that you could turn this into a subscriber thing, or you'll only have to be able to use your filament, and then you'll jack the filament price up, which is starting to sound like Hewlett Packard and their printers. But I'm doing more of a wait and see. I'm not doing this knee jerk thing. I was going to buy more printers from Bamboo, but that's on hold now. I'm going to wait until the dust settles and see exactly where this goes.
Yeah, the knee jerk reaction works though. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering. Part of me wondered if they weren't doing this to keep track of things you print, to make sure you're not printing ghost guns or something.
Yeah, they were talking about that, and then the other thing said, well, hackers can get in and in the middle of the night get into your printer and print dildos or something. I'm like, what? Or they could turn on your camera inside your printer. Okay, well, I don't very often crawl around inside my printer naked. So,
look inside my printer.
Yeah. How are they going to print on your printer if you power it off? I don't leave my printer. I don't leave anything on at night except my server. It runs away here all the time.
Well, since mine is isolated from the internet, I don't need to worry about it anyway. But
yeah,
there's a lot of. Then the other thing was they want to not let people use Orca Slicer, which I use because I can use it on all my printers. I don't have to keep switching between different slicers.
Isn't their software just a variant of Orca Slicer anyway?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Bamboo Studio is almost identical.
Yeah, like the FL Sun one. Well, they don't even make bones about it. They just say it's a branded Orca Slicer.
Interesting.
We could be in trouble, Andy.
Oh boy.
Jay Don't Play says it's good to try new things.
Well,
hey,
Jay Don't Play's welcome inside my 3D printer.
I noticed Paul says good morning.
Morning all.
Yes, because it's probably what, 2:00 in the morning where Paul is right now.
Yes.
And what time is it? It's what, like 6 a.m. in Sydney, 7 a.m. in Sydney?
Yep.
Wow. It's nice to have people from all over the world. If you're from a different part of the world.
And even Mississippi. Welcome.
I wouldn't normally associate shalom with someone from Mississippi. New York, maybe.
Yeah.
As Clayton says, smash that like button. We have a question. What do you guys think of the rumor of background checks to buy a 3D printer?
Well, I read that New York was going to try to do that, but it's going to get into this kind of thing like gun control. Okay, you got gun control, and if you're a felon, you can't buy a gun and this and that. If you want to buy a gun or a grenade or grenade launcher, if you look hard enough, you'll get one.
Yeah, the real problem with this is it's only going to bring comfort to people who don't understand, right? Like, I mean, I built 3 of my own 3D printers. They're built from parts that you can just put together. You don't have to buy a commercial 3D printer. So, somebody will just go into an underground business making them and selling them to people, right? So I think I mean, I understand what they're trying to do, but I think it's pointless, really. I think they're just wasting oxygen here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, where does it stop, right? Like,
I mean,
are we gonna you can.
I live in a country where I'm surprised we don't already have this problem. But
right. And I think I'll worry about it once Steve worries about it.
I'm not worried about it. I can make my own. I've got 3 of my own up in my
I'm
lot.
talking in Canada. Like once you worry about it in Canada, then I'll worry about it here.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, like it's a serious problem. There's no question, right? That somebody can make an actual weapon that is undetectable if you put it in a suitcase and pass it through X-ray at an airport. But it's just something you can't stop.
Right. And I mean, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't have the guts to shoot a gun that I 3D printed.
If I make one though, you can shoot it for me.
No, I'll let you try it first. But yeah, I don't know. I think
it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Like it's just a knee-jerk reaction from some politician who wants to get reelected, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of speculation there with that Bamboo 2 deal too, that, they're going to say what you can and can't print, or they're going to, things go to the cloud. If, somebody in China likes that, they'll steal it and start making it on their own. And, there's
both of those are likely scenarios, right?
Yeah, it can certainly happen.
Yep.
Hey, Chris. We have Chris is welcoming Clayton. Yeah. We have a lot of people from Australia coming in now. This is great.
I love it.
Maybe we should do an on-location shoot.
I think we should. We should all go to Australia.
I've been trying to get the wife to go down there, but she doesn't want to fly that long.
Let's just get the Australian guys to make sure they spray for all the deadly snakes and spiders.
I'd be worried about being attacked by their herds of rabbits.
Yeah. Or kangaroo.
Yeah, well, they can blame the British for their rabbits. Apologies to anybody who's from Britain. They did the same thing here with dandelions. So, there you go. Another. Oh yes, Empire's from
Sydney.
From Sydney. A couple of people from Sydney. You guys should get together for a beer.
Yeah, what Chris is saying here, I'll agree with that, because I did read the post, and there's a guy, last name Drossman. He has actually a wiki page where he archives everything that gets posted. So you can go to Louis Rossman. You can go to his site, and you can read all the stuff that they originally posted, that they went and changed and altered their terms of service. And they're doing a lot of things and trying to backtrack and gaslight.
I'll read this question because that's what Rick did, so I better do it. Chris says, Bamboo are trying to change history. They have deleted post that proves they were lying from the way back back archive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's just like it's not going to end well for them, right? Like people will just say, fine, I'll either build my own printer or I'll just go to some other manufacturer who's not trying to screw me over. Like I doubt that they're going to get this kind of behavior from a Prusa, for example.
Right.
Oh yeah, and Creality, as much as I hate to say it, their K2 Plus is actually a little bit better than the X1 Carbon. It's got a larger work area, and I may be looking at that, even though that's something I'd have to buy through Amazon. So if I got any problems with it, I can just send it back, because Creality's tech support is just like non-existent.
Well, when you're ready to buy one of those, let me know. I'll send you an affiliate link. You can make your own, I guess. I don't know if you can use your own affiliate links.
Yeah, there's a way to do it if you've got more than one user account.
Yes. Well, yeah.
But you didn't hear that from me.
Well, I realize. Hackers don't care about 3D printers.
I agree.
Yeah, they probably got bigger things to go after.
Somebody's 3D printer. Yeah, I mean, our gun laws here are a little stricter than yours, to say the least. And when I lived in Ottawa, the capital, back in probably the mid-90s, in the middle of the downtown core, on the corner of a shopping mall and Parliament Hill, somebody took a shot did a drive-by shooting of a guy, and he had a Tech 9, which is definitely a banned weapon in this country. So if you want it, you'll get it, right? That's the real problem.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to leave for a little bit, and then I'll be
Okay.
back in a little while.
We'll save all the hard 3D printer questions for you then. Chris says, yeah, Bamboo wants to fix their security by penalizing users. You see, this is the reaction, right?
Yep.
Companies protect themselves at the cost of their customers instead of protecting their customers.
Yeah. I was kind of reading through the post here, just curious. But I think it's funny that that now we have, instead of a Roger, we have 2 X1 carbons to look at. Oh, it's funny.
Well, but, at least they're not running.
Yeah.
He usually leaves them running. Yeah, I've been playing with that FL Sun. I like that printer. It's really nice.
Cool.
It's, they talk about it being quiet. It's definitely quieter than a carbon, but it's not. It could be quieter, I think. The problem, the laser companies do this too, right? They make this sedate little laser, and then they put this turboprop in to keep the laser cool. And
yeah, it sounds like
Robert Lowe. Robert, are you new to the call here?
Welcome, Robert.
New York, yes. This was what triggered all this. New York is trying to pass this law that would require background checks. They have to understand that most people who would want to buy that 3D printer are probably total nerds.
So the thing about and I'm not saying background like universally, but the thing about a background check is like you're just checking what someone, if they have a history, right?
Yeah.
But like, what what person is going to be like, I'm going to buy a 3D printer? I don't know. The demographic buying a 3D printer, maybe I'm completely naive here, but I think there's much easier ways to get your hands on a weapon than buy a 3D printer and 3D print it and then trust your work to fire it.
Definitely, I'd be holding it as far away from me as I possibly could.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Maybe we need a background check for this. If somebody starts printing dildos on my printer, I better put some TPE or something in there so it's flexible at least.
Well, at least if they're going to do that, put some TPU filament in there so it'll be soft.
I mean, the first thing I'm going to do is laugh. So, at least I'm going to chuckle out of it.
If you came into your shop in the morning and CNC is the next step, right? Like somebody or you don't have a wood lathe, I guess, but somebody could easily turn one, right? We've gone down a rabbit hole here.
We have. Oh boy. All right.
There you go. See, Jay's putting the moves on. Don't be shy. Oh, it's 8:30 in Perth. There you go. 8:30 in the morning. It's a good time of day. I was helping. I don't see him online here today yet, but I was helping one of my viewers. He has an Omni One, and the setup of a like a Galvo laser is not like a diode laser, right? There's extra steps you have to do, and he was struggling with that, and hopefully I straighten him out. I have to talk to him again tomorrow, but it's good. I get to see people in the real world who have real struggles. So nice. Hopefully I can get him back on the rails. He's further ahead now than he was this morning before I talked to him. So that's cool. Wait, somebody just said, I was gonna say he's in Perth. Yeah, I guess there's probably a couple of time zones in Australia.
Sydney.
Paul, hang in, man.
Paul is in Belgium, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Jay's in Mississippi.
New Albany. Used to live in New Albany, Chicago.
We know what time it is in Chicago, right, Roger?
Roger knows what time it is in Chicago.
These laws only keep. Yeah, this is my point, right? It keeps people who were never going to shoot anybody with a ghost gun in check, right? And in the meantime, they just get annoyed. Hey, Clack's in the house. Yeah, Clack is a guy who would know about this. I don't know, Clack, do you live in fear that they're going to make you license your 3D printer? Or do you get some exemption as a retired officer?
I have my...
Yet. 281 days now?
They're going to release a thing called like your concealed printer permit.
Yeah, this big bulge under your coat. Yeah. They better start making smaller printers before they worry about ghost guns.
Right.
Yes, this is my point too, Clack, is how are they going to possibly regulate this? Like, is like some government organization going to bust down your door with a battering ram and say, we want to see all your printers? And it's not like, are they grandfathered in? Like if you have a print farm, are you going to have to go register them all? I don't know. It's politicians not thinking things through, I think.
Oh, really?
Oh, there you go.
No, they don't do that.
Chris is going to has the right idea. They're going to train sniffer dogs to detect filament.
That's awesome. Oh, and this is in Australia, the drop bears. You ever heard of the drop bears?
No, I haven't. I was trying to figure out what that was. Other than my Chicago Bears football team, they drop the thing every year, but
yeah. It's a hoax in contemporary Australian folklore featuring a predatory carnivorous version of a koala. So it's a joke.
Clack says hello. Yeah, Chris. Oh, Jack in the shop. Jack's been here before.
Yeah, welcome, Jack.
Yeah, the K2 is bigger.
Yeah, Creality reached out to me. Oh, geez, it's probably 8 months ago about the K2, and I said gracefully no, but I'd probably say yes now. Actually,
yeah.
Creality, if you're listening, I'd like one. I'd like a printer with multicolor. I have my Prusa with the multicolor option, and it doesn't work all that well. It just drives me crazy. So the next generation of that color changing has improved quite a bit.
Anycubic has a multicolor one out now too. They've got the Cobra 2 Max, so it's a huge work area or bed area.
Nice.
Yeah. Speaking of companies, Andy, did you notice that SaintSmart is now promoting Vectric?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just got a message from them today saying, "Hey, you can now use us with Aspire. You can use a $3,000 piece of software with your $500 CNC."
Yeah, the same. Yeah, I had the same thought. Even if you went with VCarve Pro, okay, it's what, $600? I think $600, $700.
It's the price of half of SaintSmart's line.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it a much more functional tool for sure.
It does. It does.
But at that point, you look at the Vectric software and you go, "This is really awesome. Why do I have to run it on a entry level CNC? I'm going to go buy a bigger CNC."
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul. Hey, Brit. I didn't. Oh, yeah. I guess it makes sense that with a name like Owen, you're probably British, but you just lived in Belgium, so I assumed.
Yeah, I think there's another comment. He said he's from the UK, but now lives in Belgium.
I assume that's for work. Belgium's nice, actually, but so Paul lives in Belgium, but he's a Brit. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, to like in the States, that's like moving a state over.
Yeah,
like,
kind of.
It's like moving to the next state. Yeah. It's a different country, but distance-wise, it's like
things aren't real far apart over there.
No.
Yeah, the outward perspective of the U.S. is it's like 50 countries, right? It's an odd arrangement. We can't be responsible for. Paul is absolving himself of bringing rabbits to Australia.
That's what he's doing.
How about the dandelions? Because they come up in my lawn every spring, and they came over here with the British too. They like them in salad or something. Tim Arthur, have you been on before, Tim? That's a new name.
Yeah, welcome, Tim.
North Carolina. Oh, he's a Central New Yorker. Well, originally. Now he's in North Carolina.
New York.
I left more than 20 years ago. Yeah, the winters in North Carolina are a little better than New York. Speaking of winter, we finally got snow today, which disappoints me to no end.
You got snow? So that picture
First
behind
snow,
you,
like first snow that's probably going to stay for more than a day.
Oh, all our snow here is gone now. It's
Yeah.
actually we were like 51 today. I think 51 or 52.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
we're
was pretty nice.
We're supposed to warm up next week, so hopefully you send some of that weather our way.
Yeah.
All it takes here to change the temperature 20 degrees is a little breeze off the ocean. So if you don't like the weather, you just hold on for a bit. Chris says, it still won't stop me from using my bamboo. They can lock him out, but he's going to break in.
Yeah. I actually have an A1 coming yet because it was ordered. It was pre-ordered before all this fiasco happened. So, and I will work with the A1. And like I said, I work off land. I don't go to the cloud. So
yeah.
I
don't know how I would feel about this, Chris. Like, Chris ordered his printer 2 hours before the story broke.
Okay, I'm not a 3D printer pro. I've enjoyed the bamboo experience. I'm just going to say that. I get all the stuff, but as a novice user that's really not emotionally invested, it prints things.
But most of the experience with a 3D printer is the slicer that you use, right? And Orca slicer is pretty nice. It's got, it would be nice if there was like an amateur mode for Orca slicer where you could just, not have to think about things.
Oh yeah, I went from Cura to Orca, and because I worked at Cura for so long, it was nothing for me to pick it up.
Yeah. I was the same way, but
Bamboo Studio, like, again, I'm definitely not like a hardcore 3D printer nerd. And Bamboo Studio is fine. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
It works.
it's basically Orca.
Yeah.
If you download Orca and open it up, you think, hey, this looks familiar.
Like the same. Yeah.
It's the one, I think. So all of the, well, not all of them, but most of the 3D printer companies I've seen that package their own slicer, it's Orca over the last probably 6 months or 8 months.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like all the security stuff and all that. Like, that's not cool.
Jim Castro says, they block copy machines and scanners from scanning cash. Yeah. But a 3D printer doesn't have any scanning mechanism to know if you're real or not, right? So,
yeah.
Is it true you can't scan cash with a scanner?
Yeah, some of office copiers especially, you can't like go to your employer's office and scan a pack of $50 bills. It'll actually lock some of them. It'll lock the copier.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Now we have a commercial copy machine in our office here because of the heavy printing we have to do, and they told us specifically, maybe you want to scan a dollar bill to give to your grandkid in a letter or card or something. He says, don't scan any cash. It'll shut it down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then you'll call the service guy, Bucky, to come and fix your printer for you, your scanner. Jack in the shop. HackCon. Let me into a personal network. It's not about what you are printing or controlling your printer. Yeah, perhaps. I don't think hackers are interested in controlling your 3D printer, honestly. Like,
at least not yet.
And it depends how your land. It depends how your land is set up too. Our land is a completely separate network from our regular our wireless and our wired network. It's completely separate.
Yeah.
So it has absolutely no connection to the internet whatsoever.
Yeah. So I worked in network tech for most of my career. So I can tell you with absolute certainty to get to this computer I'm using right now, you got to go through 4 firewalls. So it's probably not going to happen. Not at least not before I figure it out. Yes, there's definitely a better way to fix security.
Well, Bamboo came out with a little software patch that was supposed to let you use Orca with the new firmware. It was called Bamboo Connect, and within 24 hours, that got hacked, and the entire code was up on the internet.
Well, this is the thing, right? Like I've had I'll say a bit of a dark past in software.
Oh boy!
So it would probably take even me, a relatively rank amateur, a week to tear apart their code and figure out what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, you look at cars, right? Teslas are notoriously heavy duty on locking their software, but I know people who can put whatever they want on the screen, right? You want to watch TV while you're driving? No problem. So, and I saw a thing, the system that Chrysler uses, their equivalent of OnStar, I guess. And they showed a guy driving one of their SUVs past a hacker, and he turned the car off while it was driving past him. Wow. Yeah. So, okay. I think printers are the least of our problems. Zentenro. Hey, Zentenro, how's your channel doing, by the way?
I saw you posted a video. I watched part of it.
I've watched the 2 videos that he had there.
He released a new one.
I won't say he, could be he or she. Zentenro says, I can't send jobs to my Anycubic printer unless I use their slicer. See, yeah, this bothers me. Right, this is the thing I hated about what the hell is the tool that has 3 tools in one?
I've
still got one sitting here. I'd like to get
SnapMaker.
SnapMaker, yes. Yeah. They use this different slicer, and nothing else works on it. And I think this is killing them because their hardware is great.
Oh, Kitty has that too. That's QIDI, not KITTY. Kitty printer.
Yeah.
You have to use Kitty Print. They have some supposed profiles you can use in Cura, but they don't really work too well.
Yeah, I've used it with Cura, and it's okay, but it's definitely not as good as theirs. I think they purposely make it annoying for you so you come back to theirs.
Yeah, and in fact, my Kitty printer just got sold today, so I don't have that one anymore.
Would you like another one?
No, I'm after things with bigger work areas.
Yeah, it's a solid. I like the printer, but it was small. It was small.
Yeah, the 185 millimeter square work area is just, unless I'm making a whole bunch of really small parts, it was just annoying because I'd have to constantly change. I'd rather print a whole big bed of parts and just let it run for overnight.
Makes sense.
So Terrible at Fishing says he has 2 stores in his town that feature his art.
Well, that's cool.
He makes with his engraver. Sweet. He's found a market.
Yeah.
Sweet, yeah.
Yes, and Clack would know this. Good criminals have no history.
Yeah, only the ones that get caught.
Yeah.
So background checks are worthless.
Yes. Well, I have to behave anyway. My prints are already on file with the feds. So.
Oh man.
Well, I worked in some top secret crap, right? So.
Yeah.
It required me to basically do everything but the sphincter scan to know who I was. Yeah, when we're not on a live, I'll tell you some stories.
Perfect.
Come early next week.
When we're not broadcasting to the world.
Yeah. Chris Gallagher says, back is the operative word. It doesn't check on what you might be planning to do. Yeah, we haven't figured out the Minority Report scenario.
No, we haven't.
Man, governments would love that, wouldn't they?
The foreground check.
Yes.
Now, here's this Lumberjack says someone will hack the firmware, release an alternate firmware, or sell a replacement controller. I'm sure Big Tree Tech's already all over that, and it's not hard to jailbreak these systems. I mean, I'm not the expert to do it, but
Yeah.
there'll be people that'll jailbreak it. And just maybe you
sure.
got to throw in like what Big Tree Tech did with motherboards on Creality printers. I've got two of my Ender 3 V2s have the Big Tree Tech motherboard and touchscreen on them. I just scrapped the Creality boards as they failed. So yeah, they'll jailbreak them.
Yeah. I have a replacement board in my Creality. It is jailbroken, but I don't do anything with that feature. I got it because the other board I had just died. So.
No, David's wanting to buy his first 3D printer, either an A1 or an A1 Mini. The Mini is newer, but it's not any better. It's just smaller. So yeah, you have more work area with the A1, and you can use the AMS Lite with either one of them.
Somebody asking me, Empire Laser Creations is saying, do you think Xtool will come out with their own UV laser? I hope so.
Ooh.
I hope so. Of course, I'll put a footnote on that. If Creality comes out with a 5-watt UV laser, it's probably going to be $8,000. The good news is they will support the thing like you wouldn't believe, but it's not going to be the cheapest. Yeah, I mean, I know, well, I mean, we've all got well, Andy certainly has his $100 diode laser, but lots of us have kind of entry-level lasers. Xtool is really going up market now, right? They're really headed into more of a small business kind of model where they're selling to businesses as opposed to hobbyists. And I mean, it's sad because they were one of the best, but their prices are starting to reflect the fact that they're selling to business, because businesses expect like instantaneous support. They're building out a facility in Burbank, somewhere in California anyway. They're probably going to have a couple dozen people there soon.
Do we know what? I know they said there are several new product releases this year. Do we know? Yeah. What have they announced?
The only thing they've announced so far is the apparel printer.
Okay.
Now, according to Jason, they have 6 or 7 new products this year.
Wow.
And they're really going gangbusters, right? Like they're not slouching, and I mean, if you're in the entry level laser business, well, high end, we'll say, hobby business, or now the garment printing business, you got to be worried about this, right? Because they're big company. And I mean, people, I had a conversation with somebody, and we were talking a bit about Xtool, and somebody, I forget who it was, but said, well, who cares, right? There's lots of laser companies. And I pointed out that Xtool has like a 36% market share, and the other 100 laser companies split up the rest, right? So,
yeah.
So they're there, and I think they're going to be a real force to deal with. Like they could be the next Apple or Microsoft in the laser world.
Yeah, there's probably talking about Bamboo Connect. Yeah, it's already hacked.
It's already hacked. See, the problem with anything related to security is there's 1 or 2 people who are making it, and 1 million people breaking it, right? And it's just like, it's such false security for anything. And the worst kind is when they break it and they don't tell anybody they've broken it.
No, I'm not in Chicago. I am at the same latitude, but a different longitude. I am on the opposite side of the state.
Geez, we must be getting way behind in the questions, because Clack has 245 days. Man, you must be counting those seconds now. I remember when I was at 1,100 days before I left.
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes behind.
Oh, are we? Jeez, we got to get moving here.
Yep.
Let me see if I can. Apologies if I don't get to your question, but we have to sift through here pretty quick. It's far easier to build a. Yeah, we are way behind.
Yeah.
Yes. Steve points out the obvious here. It's easier to make the printer than the gun. Chris says, "Good day." I'm sure he's talking to Vintari, not me. Dig through these questions, Roger, as we go. If you see something that's interesting, pull her up. Start from the other end.
Oh, I can't pull any of them up. All I can do is look.
Yeah.
Oh, we already got that one.
I think you're the only one that can pull them up.
What? No, anybody can click on them.
No, I can't.
No.
Well, I click on them and don't do anything.
Oh,
Yeah,
I click on them all the time.
Well, you have that power.
Well, I didn't until tonight. Okay, I'm going to just scan through some of these really quickly here.
Yeah.
Here, you can talk about that one, Andy.
There we go. Tim asks, I'll be looking to purchase my first baby steps CNC soon.
Whatever you do, don't buy a 3018.
Yeah.
Andy can tell you what to buy.
Yeah. So I actually have a 3-video series I was talking about before we jumped on. 1.5 of the videos are done, and it's exactly about this. My thoughts on getting started, where to start with CNC. And so typically the experience, whatever, if you buy a 3018 or, smaller, I like to talk price range, like under a $500 CNC. It seems to be a waste of time for a lot of people. I'm just going to put it bluntly, because that experience, although you can learn the absolute basics, it's basically, you can't resell that machine. There's really not a market to resell them. And the experience with one of a budget machine like that is doesn't translate to more expensive machines. And so typically what I see what happens is people try out a budget machine and they're like, oh, CNC is not for me. I'm so glad I tried CNC. But the frustration level, the ease of use level, the capability level of those machines isn't anywhere near what a 1,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Don't say Avid. Yeah.
I know. I would say, honestly, I tell people, if you're going to get into CNC, I really wouldn't spend less than $2,000. I know I'm going to be
probably, yeah.
I mean, people are throw things at me for saying that, but
they might thank you.
What's that?
They might thank you.
They might, but I really think they'll thank me. So, but yeah, I know that's a lot of money, but I would just recommend saving. Like if you can spend $500, just save a little bit longer. You're going to have resale. You're going to be able to resell that. And so it's not when you, let's so if you spend $500 on a CNC and you get what you get, right? It's basically throwing $500 away. And then, you buy a $2,000 machine, which is probably, what would you say, like the performance difference from a $500 CNC to a $2,000 machine?
It's pretty dramatic.
It's
like,
very.
I think the problem with a $500 machine is you'll make an assumption that all CNCs work that way, and you'll be discouraged.
That's exactly what I was saying. And as soon as someone, I say this exact line in a video that's coming out, no one is gonna, after having a poor experience with a budget machine, no one is gonna say, "Hey, here's $2,000. Sign me up for that experience again." Right? Because they're not going to, in their mind, they're not going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to spend more money to be frustrated again." I might even take that chance. Right?
Yeah, this is one place where entry-level lasers differ quite a bit from entry-level CNCs, right? An entry-level laser, it's smaller, it's less powerful, but it fundamentally does everything that a higher-end laser does, right? Like if you're buying a your $100 diode laser versus $1,000 diode laser, they do the same thing. It's just one is slower, maybe less power, so you can't maybe cut a 2x4. But yeah, it's CNC is a $500 CNC and a $2,000 CNC are night and day.
Night and day. It is night and day, and a lot of it, I think, if you look at like the laser world and 3D printer world compared to the CNC router world, there's there's a lot of difference where one you're doing with CNC machining, it's subtractive manufacturing, and 3D printing is additive manufacturing. Laser is subtractive,
horizontal. I don't know. It's like
know.
I guess it's subtractive because you're taking something that was whole and making it into little pieces. But
there's a lot more. Just think about all the different variables when it comes to CNC machining compared to 3D printing or anything like that. And so there's a lot more to account for. And that the ease of use and rigidity and power, there's so many more factors at play in CNC routing.
Yeah. Now, if you were asking me what Xtool was going to build, I would say the odds are pretty high they're going to build a good high-end CNC.
Ooh, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
I have no knowledge, though. So, if Xtool comes and says, hey, where'd you hear that? It's just a wild-ass guess. So, Clack, what Cold Lake days are you talking about? Are you talking about Cold Lake in Canada? Because there is one. Clayton wants my snap maker. So the bad news, Clayton, this thing would cost $1 million to ship to you because it weighs 100 pounds at least. It's big. You'll just have to come to my place in the summertime and carry it back in your check-in.
Yeah.
They're aliens. We don't have to load our aliens in a plane. That's for sure. Sorry, I digress. Well, we seem to have some new names here tonight.
Hard work, woodwork. I love it.
That's a cool name.
Can you run anything other than Carbide Create and Motion with the Shapeoko 4 XXL? Yes. You are not tied down to their software. Now, what I would say is I would recommend using Carbide Motion. That's the controller software. But you can load you can use Vectric and load that G-code file into Carbide Motion.
Getting back to what Xtool has released, I guess the F1 was in 2025. It's cutting it close, but F1 Lite is just like a smaller version of the F1. That one I don't really see a lot of value in, honestly. I'm not sure why they came out with that. There must have been I guess for people going to markets or something, it's even more portable. Yeah, I think this is probably a true statement. Chris says Xtool has gone from worst to the greatest now to high-end hobbyists and small business. Yeah, they're one of the few companies that has spent a lot of effort on support. And I had a conversation with CommMarker about this too. And I said, you might have good products, but if you don't support them, especially in the North American market, people are very impatient and you kind of get one chance at that. So I know they've been doing some extra work to kind of sort that out. The real problem, somebody made a comment today to me. They bought an Omni 1 and they were having some kind of problem with it. And they called support, and support, whoever they were talking to with support was talking more about Chinese New Year's than supporting their laser. Yeah, not that that's a good thing, but I think one of the things in North America we don't understand is how big a deal Chinese New Year's is to people in China. They shouldn't let it leak out to a customer support discussion, but it is a big deal for them.
It started today.
Yeah.
I just looked it up.
Yeah, today.
Well, happy Chinese New Year to our Chinese friends.
They would definitely be, well, they'd probably be waking up about now. It's like
Yeah.
9 in the morning in China. 9:20.
Which is like 2 weeks, isn't it? I think they.
Yeah, it lasts a long time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of firecrackers, man.
A lot of, this is where they burn up their own fire. Like they use their own fireworks instead of sending them. To
Empire
the
Laser says, we do glass, and the last thing I want is cheap UV. Yeah, for general population. Yeah, there is definitely a different product for businesses. And like you can buy a 20-watt fiber laser. That's great for a hobbyist, but a business is not going to use that. And here in this case, I don't even know if there is such a thing as a cheap UV. The Com Marker one is probably the lowest cost one right now. They're all just expensive, but you can certainly pay more than what Com Marker charges for the Omni one. It's funny Jack in the shop says it's funny they want to get to background checks for 3D printers, but you can still get an 80%
lower
and mill it out. Yeah.
Build your own.
Yep.
There. Zentenro has a 3018
that I extended and don't use it. Interesting. I mean, I have one. I used it once.
I had a 3018. Just I needed something. I didn't have a big CNC yet, and I needed to do something, so I just bought this really cheap thing. And I think I paid, I don't know, $240 for it or something. It was not expensive, but it was like, holy cow, this thing is awful.
Yeah, it's painful.
I ended up, I thought I'd sell it, but I ended up giving it away and the guy I gave it to somebody else.
And maybe Jinmitsu realizes this, right? And that's why they're pushing. I don't know if you saw, they came out with like a 4x4 machine.
Yeah. So, well, they also came out with a small footprint one. That's probably I think it's a 3030 or something.
But they've got a 4040 too, and I have one of them, and it's awful. The bed is in two pieces, and within I'd say about 2 weeks, the center of that bed is now about 30 thousandths lower than the outside perimeter.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem. So yeah.
Oh, that must be one of their entry level 4040s then.
It's a Reno.
Because the Prover XL, that's a nice CNC for the money. I mean, it's still an entry level, but you know, that would be the absolute bare minimum I would recommend to somebody to buy.
If I would have bought this one, I would be really having a fit over, but they gave it to me to do a review on. And at the time, it was, nice, right? It was brand new. But that with that bed being made in two pieces and then on the MDF on top of it with no good supports underneath, it just sagged in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all companies suffer from this a bit. They sell a product which is really a beta unit, and then they wait for people to complain about things that go wrong, and then the next version or the next model is the one that actually is the one you want, right?
Yeah.
It's, as consumers, we've become victims, I think. Jack in the shop. Chris says, Empire Creations, we find a niche and then we make a device that kids can use to steal our market. Well, yeah. I guess that's a, Facebook certainly proved that too, right?
Right.
Probably working at 2K. Oh, probably looking at 2K. This is the CNC follow-up. That's about what I was thinking. Yeah, and for 2K, you're going to get a decent CNC. You're not going to get one that'll do 24/7 heavy workload, but
no. But you can get a lot of machine for $2,000.
Yeah, well, you can get that Prover XL 4040, or you can upgrade it to a 6060 for in fact, I think they sell it as a 6060 now.
Yeah.
And it's around that price.
The Shapeoko 4.
Shapeoko. Yeah.
It's their smaller one is 1800. I think they're it's right around that $2,000 mark though. And then the the long mill. I saw this.
Sorry, I'm reading that. I'm reading Chris's comment here.
Yeah. Chris says the 3018s are like taking a shower and thinking, I'm not going to learn how to swim. There's a couple other good ones in here as well.
Jack has a long mill.
Yep.
But now he wants the alt mill. You see, he wants to go up market.
Yep, the long mill MK1. And then they have the MK2. Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. He made it convertible from router to plasma.
I'd like to know how you did that with the bed.
Steel bed?
Yeah, it'd have to be.
Or cut really shallow. You don't really get a choice with a plasma cutter, though.
I have a plasma cutter, and I've always sort of, I thought that'd be kind of cool to put on a CNC, but yeah.
Well, they all use the same controllers, right? Like it should work.
Yeah. So Avid CNC, they have the same. Literally, it's the same, same frame, but they sell a plasma, like a full. You can buy a full size plasma for them.
For the price they charge for them, they should just throw one in. But there's some of them. Avid, I get, but there's another one. What's the other one that's high end, high priced? But I keep looking at it, going, this isn't any different than any other CNC. I forget what it is.
There's a couple different ones, but there's a giant. And I'm speaking from experience here with the Avid, like going from a $5,000 machine to a $10,000 or $12,000 machine. There's a massive. Do you know the difference between we talk about from a $500 machine to a $2,000 machine? There's that same jump from a $5,000 machine to a $10,000, $12,000 Avid.
Yeah, no, I get that. But this one I looked at and went, this is just an expensive machine. It's not. And I'm just trying to see if I can find it here.
Isn't it mind-boggling how many different brands of CNC routers there are out there?
Well, it's not as many as lasers.
Well, I get that, but still, they're
Shark. That's the other one. And you talked about Shark at one point. I just look at them and go, it's a nice big extruded plate, but why is it $7,000? Right? Like it's just not. It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
So,
but those are popular because those are the ones sold in either Woodcraft or Rockler.
Yeah.
I forgot which ones, but
that's Rockler's brand.
Rockler.
Or not Rockler's brand, but they sell them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking here. We have a company here called Busy Bee. That's all across the country, and they sell them.
I've heard Busy Bee. Isn't there there's a CNC called something B?
That's it's not that one though.
it's a European.
But I thought they were kind of high-end entry level.
Maybe.
Weren't they made? You said who was the first CNC you had?
That I had?
Yeah.
Oh, I had the first one I had was Shapeoko.
Oh no, okay. There was. I'm trying to think who they were. There was another company that they sell kits and you can build them up.
Gotcha.
Hey, how come you don't have a Shaper Origin? I keep looking at them, and I mean, they're insanely expensive for what looks like a router with a screen on top.
So I don't know. And this is I don't have experience with it. I've seen someone use one at a show.
Yeah.
A trade show. But I've never used one myself.
I've seen demos and
I don't quite get it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always kind of thought they worked kind of like a Ouija board.
well, you lay down this tape that's like a bunch of dominoes,
Yeah.
and it does something with that. I think it just follows the pattern or something. I don't know. I don't. Does anybody on the call here have one to say, hey, this thing is awesome or not? Like, I know people who have bought them, vaguely know people who've bought them and said they like them, but is it because they haven't actually used like a real CNC? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, okay, here we go. This is what I was talking about. The Work Bee by Ooze Nest is a British CNC.
Yeah,
British.
but there's a US company too that has those. And they sell it as a kit. That's the one I was thinking
of. Let's see.
So Chris says a $500 CNC is like a push bike, and a $2,000 CNC is like a sports car. Actually, a $2,000 CNC is like a sedan.
Yeah.
A $10,000 CNC is a sports car.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Well, this is the thing with, and lasers have this too, right? Like, people will say, why do you want a 200-watt fiber laser? Well, it's not because it's got more power necessarily. It's faster.
Well, even, when you're talking about 3D printing, the difference between a bed slinger and a Core XY. Core XY printers, that's what I'm going to, they're so much faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so deltas are getting faster. So my delta is twice as fast as either of those printers behind you. 1,000 millimeters a second, and I saw it do it.
I've kind of looked at them, but I haven't pulled the trigger on one yet.
In fact, they have the next model up from that one is 1,200 millimeters a second. And my first thought was, how the hell do they push filament through the hot end that fast? But it printed a benchy that actually looked like an awesome benchy. It printed it in less than 10 minutes.
Wow.
And it doesn't look like a 10-minute benchy. It looks like the standard old 36-minute benchy that people used to print.
Were you thinking of the Fox Alien?
No. It'll bother me. Oh.
Stepcraft, Bob CNC.
No.
Wow.
It's going to bother me because I actually looked at them and thought, oh, maybe I'll just buy one of those.
Axiom?
No, you're too high end.
Okay, lower end. I don't know.
It's going to eat me up.
Yeah. Eating me up too.
I was going to say take over the questions here, but you can't.
I can't.
Oh my God. What did you guys do to Rick? He gave me that power a long time ago.
He doesn't trust us.
Oh yes, here we go. This is an ongoing discussion. Hard Work Woodwork says, I love when people say a CNC is cheating and it's not woodwork. Then I have to explain to them that yes, it's just another, you say worker, but just another tool in the shop, basically, right? And I've had this discussion ad nauseum with people.
I don't even have it with them anymore.
So I did this.
I got tired of it.
It's like, I'm not talking to you.
Just beating a dead horse. Like, okay, fine. Think whatever you want to think.
So my brother carves wooden spoons, and they're fantastic wooden spoons. But so that's why I did a wooden spoon design video there a while back, and I gave him a wooden spoon, and he looked at it and he went, "Well, that's cheating." It's like, well, it's not cheating, right? It's just all the effort is at the front end, not the back end, right? All your creativity is when you design the thing, not when you lay down a piece of wood on a CNC. That's just some machine going through the motions.
Yeah. I think I made a video about that a while ago, like a couple years ago. Is CNC really woodworking?
Well, you start with a block of wood and you get something out. Oh, yes. So Clack says Coal Lake, the Canadian Area 51. It's actually a military base. I don't know if it's Area 51, but because, normal airplanes can fly over it, but without getting shot down. But there is it's a big Air Force base. It's like the worst place in the world to live. It's got cold in the name for a reason.
Cold Lake.
See, Chris is on board with my X-Tool CNC. X-Tool, if you're listening, get to it. Start the work.
Let's do it.
No, but I mean, from a marketing perspective, this one makes perfect sense, right? Because Lightburn is struggling to get Millmage out. They could just scoop right in there and just say, oh, and by the way, you use XCS for this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, to me, it makes marketing sense for them to do it. And now I'm sure it'll be all over Facebook tomorrow. X-Tool rumored to make a CNC.
You heard it here first, everyone.
Yes, I would like to say, see, I told you so, but I have no knowledge. I won't be able to do that. Hardwork says I've been with CNC for about 8 years now, wanting to get into lasers for the wife to join me in the shop. What's a great laser?
There you go.
This is another question that comes up on a regular basis.
Yeah.
What
That's
do
the
you
one
want
that's
to
hard.
do?
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer.
So I'll plug my own video. I just did a video, a long form video on just talking about the 4 major types of lasers that we'll say mere mortals will buy, not businesses, like not companies, not in industries. If you've got anywhere from $0 to $10,000, the laser will fit in those. You can go watch that, but really the question always comes up, and the answer is always another question, which is, what do you want to do? What materials do you want to work with? What do you want to make? Like, do you want to make earrings? And do you want to make them out of metal or wood or acrylic or something? It's just, this is a black hole of uncertainty when you ask this question. It's a great question because a lot of people don't seem to ask this question. They just go and buy a laser, and then they go, well, I bought this diode laser. Now I want to make edge-lit signs out of acrylic. And it's like, yeah, bad news for you, pal. Can't do it. Right. And that's why I created this video, is just to get people to understand, because I've seen so many people who spend money and then they go, wait a minute, I can't cut this material. And it's like, it's all there on paper, right? So, yeah. So Jack asked the right question, which is another question, right? Laser depends on what you want to do. Even within, like, if you said, I want a diode laser, do you want to spend, $100 and buy the cheapest one on Amazon, or do you want to spend $2,000 and buy one that you can use in a high-end business?
Or you can go on AliExpress and get their $65 laser.
Hey, that's a video right there.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I have been tempted to buy.
Does that
it.
have free shipping?
Yes, it does.
Does it
Wow,
really?
that's like a $40 laser then.
It was one of them things. I clicked on it to look at it because I thought, well, this can't be. So I wanted to read about it just to see. I'll pass, I guess.
Oh.
And now I get emails constantly because I looked at it.
So
we know you're interested in.
I would think if you bought a $65 laser, you probably want to buy an $80 fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
So one thing about me is I do not enjoy assembling like things. I don't enjoy tinkering. So, if I enjoyed that more, I definitely would buy one of these. Like, you can buy this big CNC for like $600 and just try to get it to work, from AliExpress or something like that. But I don't want to troubleshoot. I don't want to do that.
You don't want to have to stand on the rails to straighten them out before they work.
No, I mean it would make great content, but I just don't. I get super frustrated.
Well,
Now,
see, it's only like the last year that pretty much every laser came pre-assembled.
Yeah, I know, and I've assembled a lot of machines, and I'll do it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not something I'm like sign me up for.
Well, my first CNC, which was a 3018, by the way, it was a brand called Anvil. It came in a small box, and there was absolutely nothing assembled. It took me an entire day to put that thing together.
Yeah.
I had to assemble this 3D printer the other day. Now it's only got it's like a 15-minute job, but it was like I opened the box. First of all, the box comes in this tiny little pallet, and it's like, okay, there is not a 3D printer in here. And then I opened it up, and it's like it's a bunch of parts. Now, but it wasn't that bad. But it was such a shock from just like pulling like when you pull a fiber laser out of the box, you put 4 screws in it to bolt the tower down, and that's kind of it, right? Like this was a little more elaborate than that. Now it went together really well, but it was just like, what is this? Like, what is this thing you're doing to me, right? Yeah, I don't really like putting things together anymore.
Yeah.
So laser on wood and leather flat surfaces. Some point, I'm sure she'll want to cut with. So get one with that option. You probably want to go with a diode laser for that.
Yep.
And make sure you got good ventilation and exhaust fan when you start messing with leather.
Yeah. Now, if you had said you want to do these things plus acrylic, then it would be a CO2 laser.
Yeah. But the diode laser you'll get into a lot cheaper than a good CO2.
By far, yeah. You can buy a $65 one on
AliExpress.
AliExpress, yeah.
I'm gonna be doing this here.
I'm still tempted. I don't know.
Have you all bought much from AliExpress?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Every once in a while, I'll have these, pick 10 items for 99 cents a piece.
See,
and I'll do it just to see what kind of weird things I get. And one of the oddest things we got with the last one was a monocular. That's like a binocular, but half of it. And this thing is actually pretty good. The grandkids love it.
That's fun.
See, I haven't used AliExpress in part because I have the same issue with AliExpress that I have with TikTok. I don't want a foreign country holding knowledge of, my finances or my existence. So
yeah, I got you.
I got nothing against, foreign countries. We got lots of them, 206 other ones, but I just like privacy, right? I know if I deal with a company in, certainly Canada, the US, Europe, I'm secure, right? They're all friendly countries. We're probably not going to go to war with any of them. So they're not going to, before they go to war, they're not going to suck up my credit card limit or something.
Right. No, it's a good thought. I use like a credit card, like not a bank account card,
Yeah. Yeah.
But looking on AliExpress, they've got the Acmer S1 Mini 3.5 watts laser for $85.
Oh, well, you're under the $100 one. They have.
There you go.
So Paul's asking a good question here, which is, do we plan to have more manufacturers join? Sure. We should actually, I should talk to Rick about that. It's probably time we round them up. So the last one, when we had Longer on, I basically seeded them and said, hey, we do this live stream. Why don't you come on and we can do some kind of a giveaway. And then I just handed it to Rick and said, Rick, run with this.
Deal with it, Rick.
So we can do that again. I'll find somebody. Maybe we could get something going with Xtool.
That'd be cool.
I don't think they're going to give away like a $4,000 laser though.
They're not.
But hey, an F1 light, that would be a nice
that'd be
party
great.
gift.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them.
For clear acrylic, you definitely need a CO2. Although people say, well, you can paint it black and you can use black construction paper and paint a piece of wood black, and no, that don't really work.
So when I did this video about laser types, and somebody said, you can cut clear acrylic with a diode laser, I said, yes, you can, but it will be total garbage, right? And so I was I clarified that all of the statements about on a scale of 1 to 5, how good is this thing at this job? For cutting, it was all how good can this laser do with one pass. Not because you can cut through pretty much anything with a fiber laser too, but it's going to take you 50 passes, right? So that doesn't count as cutting to me. That counts as going for lunch, a long lunch. Yes, Andy has his cheap laser video. I think he should do a whole playlist on the cheapest thing he can find.
That'd be cool. I actually do have the cheapest CNC on Amazon as well. Almost as popular as the laser, but not as popular. It has over 1 million views.
Well, Genmitsu offered me that little bitty CNC too, and I wasn't interested. I just didn't want to mess with it. Don't have time.
Yeah.
So, Clack,
to do fewer reviews. Like it kills me because it takes 3 times as long to do a good review as it does to do a proper project. Right? It's just not fun.
Do that video, Clack. I think it'll do well.
Yeah, there you go. Andy can send you his laser. Actually, he's practically your neighbor. You can just drive over to Kansas or Kentucky and get it. It's right next door, really.
It's not that far, right?
There is I did a 3D printer too. I forget what the company was. And it was a 3D printer for kids. And I fought with them. I didn't want to do this thing. And they made me do it.
Oh, I think I did the same one.
Yeah. It's just like you could use that for your cheapest 3D printer because they're pretty low budget.
Yeah, it was really cheap, and you had to use their little filament cartridges.
Yeah, well, you had to use the cartridge, but you could put your own filament in it, as I discovered.
And then this one I did, you could only operate it off a phone or a tablet.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
It was not a good experience. I mean, if you have a kid, great, right? But
well, my grandson has it now.
Yeah. I think mine's just sitting in storage. It'll be a garage sale item at some point. Yeah, well, CO2. There's lots of good CO2s. The Atom Stack Hurricane is kind of a good entry level CO2. Clack did a review on that one. Go watch his review. The X-Tool P2S. If you want to go real cheap down market, you can probably pick up a K40 for what, $800 now.
Yeah, I think Monports are right down around there now.
Yeah, Monport too.
And you can still use a Monport light burn. So.
Yep. Yeah, make sure that it'll run in light burn because some of the K40s were a bit odd. You had to use what's the other piece of software? It's just awful. It's kind of the easy CAD of lasers of CO2 lasers.
Yeah, Cubicle. Yeah, I turned that one down.
Yeah, I didn't think that was the one I had. I'd have to go look.
Yeah, I haven't done a review in a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to limit myself to at most 2 a month. I'd like to do 1 or ideally none a month sometimes.
2 a month is a lot.
I mean, it is. Well, yeah, but But I was doing a lot last year, and it was just like I just finished one, and they'd like the UPS guy would drop another box in my back door, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So
if I do 2 a year, that would be good.
Yeah. Well, I'd want to do more than 2 a year, but I don't want, because it's important to bring that kind of knowledge to people too, right?
Is. And I think your skill set, like you're very good at it.
I don't know about that, but.
Well, just your knowledge and your mechanical knowledge, you can really break it down of like hardware and software.
Well, I know pretty well if something's going to break early.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, when I first started my channel, companies were sending me these lasers, like the $50 diode laser type lasers. And it's like, I literally send them a message and say, I'm not reviewing this. Do you want it back? Because I will not have good things to say about this. If you want me to, rip your product, fine. But somebody actually did say to me, "How come you never say bad things about products?" Well, I do, but the ones that are really bad, you're not going to see on my channel. That's the real answer.
Well, I know exactly why Creality never offers to send me anything. Because I just ripped them a couple of years ago, over some deals with some printers, and no, they don't want anything to do with me now.
You're on the naughty list.
Yeah.
I don't mind Creality's printers. Their support is a little lacking.
It's a lot lacking.
Okay. That's why they send me printers, because I think they're only a little lacking. Yeah, I don't think they're worse than a lot of other companies. But for the size of them, they should be like an X-Tool level of support for sure. Yes, so Jack is ahead of us here. Yeah, CO2s. Again, you can do engraving on stainless steel with a CO2 laser if you buy $80 a can treatment to spray on there. But it's a functional no if you want to do any kind of engraving on metal with a CO2 laser.
Should we skip ahead a little bit? We're about 25 minutes behind.
Well, you keep saying that, but I scrolled down to the bottom and we were still behind. There was no other questions.
Oh, well, I'm just looking at the timestamps on them.
Oh, well, the timestamps are probably my time.
Well, the timestamps on mine are the time it is here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mine is too.
Clack's most recent one is dated 7:50, which is what time it is here.
Yeah, there's only I did lie. There's 8 screws to put together a typical fiber laser, because you got to bolt the lens carriage up on top too.
We need to give a shout out to V. She's in all of our chats.
Oh,
yes.
Hey, V.
That's good. Yes. I would like to use someone else's account to buy stuff on AliExpress.
I actually have a separate PayPal account I use for AliExpress.
That's smart.
Yeah.
And there's never very much money in it.
Sounds like I'm right to have concerns. I've never heard anybody have a bad experience on AliExpress, other than maybe they bought something that wasn't as advertised. But Rick is redoing his project for his customer. I don't know what Rick's doing tonight. He didn't say. I think he's just got a date with his wife tonight.
Date night.
Could be. Yeah. Clack is a friend who makes printed circuit boards. We have fiber lasers. We have so you can certainly make them with a fiber or a CNC, but in reality, call who is it, JCB, PCB, the guys in China.
You could have them made so cheap.
Yeah, I got my old retro computer. I just had them build a bunch of boards for me, and it was like I got 7 sets of boards for it was like $50 or something. Like, I can't waste time with a fiber laser to make that for that price. But yeah, I do see videos where people are making decent looking printed circuit boards with either fiber lasers or even CNCs. But I think it's one of those, we can build a computerized toaster, but why would we?
You can make some coasters. Actually, that's what my customer picked up tonight, was 100 coasters. So
whoa.
Well, there you go. Must be planning a big drinking party. Oh, it's a bar, right?
No, these here were made for a wedding reception.
Ah, well,
they got the bride and groom on it. And
see, those are the kind of customers I would make coasters for, because you're just churning them out. It's a one-shot deal, and here you go, pay me my money, and off we go, right? It's when people want 4 of something for their living room. It's like, not my thing.
And
go to a craft market.
These weren't slate; these were cork, because they're going to give them away at a wedding reception.
Yeah.
So they were able to get them from me for $3 a piece. So I thought that was reasonable.
Yeah, that's definitely reasonable.
Yeah, give us all a thumbs up. We always appreciate that.
Yes. Subscribe to our channels if you're not.
It depends where the thumb is going, I guess. But
I like thumbs up. Yeah, right.
I always say if you're going to give it a thumbs down, make sure you hit that button twice.
I love it. I love it.
So,
Some things don't need to go through customs. Yeah, I've ordered stuff like it's supposed to be coming from China and it's going to be here in 3 weeks, and next thing you know, I got it in 2 days, but it's still got the China label on it, and I go, oh, how'd you get that here that fast?
So when I send things to customers in the U.S., I typically will use U.S. Post because they never it never gets tied down in customs.
Interesting.
UPS is just a nightmare for shipping anything anywhere really, and they do their own customs clearing and they charge you a ridiculous amount for it. I could pay for my own customs agent to actually go to their warehouse and check it out for the price they charge for some stuff. 100-watt fiber laser, that's not a slouchy laser.
No.
I bet it doesn't take long to cut a printed circuit board. Yeah, the one video I saw, I actually just saw it today. Like they did silk screening, they did masking on the board. The thing looked like pro made, but it probably took way longer than it would to just punch an order into a board manufacturer. Yeah, bootleg. Yeah, this is coming certainly if people start requiring you to have a license to drive your 3D printer.
Oh yeah,
people will just start bootlegging everything. But like I said, I've made 3 3D printers, and you're using linear rails. They're off the shelf. They can be used for anything. Stepper motors, stepper drivers, even the controller, right? You can use for anything because it's just it's
an Arduino board.
Yeah, it's just an Arduino board. So I don't get the whole licensing thing or background check.
Oh, so AliExpress has a couple of warehouses in Australia for local deliveries. Well, they must have 1 or 2 around here in the States too.
Yeah, there's definitely one on each coast for AliExpress.
Right now, I'm looking at buying this 1.2 ton diesel excavator for $4,000.
You gonna put that in your shop?
I just want to see if it shows up for $4,000. I don't have that money to burn, but it's intriguing.
It's worth it though. Well, I think everybody needs a piece of heavy equipment in their shop.
They do.
I have my tractor's always in my shop.
Hey, I own a forklift.
Is it in your shop?
Yes, it is.
There you
nice.
Go. Yeah, it uses up 1 bay of the shop downstairs. It's a 1950 tow motor brand and has no roll cage on. I mean, it's nothing OSHA at all about this thing.
Roll cages were for wimps.
Yeah. But I mean, it does everything I needed to do. We get, we buy cartons and we buy cartons. We buy them by the pallet and they're delivered with a truck, and I have to load the truck with the forklift.
Some assembly required. Build your own excavator. Comes in a bunch of boxes with 2-inch bolts in a Ziploc bag.
Oh geez.
You can buy anything on AliExpress or in general from places in China, right? Like somebody bought a boat. It was a cruiser, right? Like it had a roof and it was electric.
Maybe I start a second YouTube channel because I think honestly, I think it would just be fun. Like just doing that whole same video of like you order random stuff, you see what shows up, and then you just review it, right?
Yeah, I bought the cheapest forklift from AliExpress.
And just the story of that, what shows up? I don't know what shows up.
So you could do like Andy buys the cheapest, and every video is you buying the cheapest of anything.
Of anything, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Sorry guys, I'm giving up CNC.
Yeah, he's just gonna do reviews of shoddy things. I've thought about starting another channel where I just do reviews.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, that's just a whole lot more work. Well, it's not even the work; it's the time that I don't have. I really need an editor.
Yeah, you do. You need an editor.
Yeah. It takes.
Oh,
The problem is
should,
the problem is
drive
the
a-
way I shoot videos. I'll have a folder full of just random files, like B-roll and me talking, a whole bunch of stuff, and then I'll stitch it all together. So I don't think any editor could actually do that.
I mean, no,
which means I need a director too, right?
Yeah. You'd be surprised. Like, so when I had my editor, now we're changing everything, but when I had a contractor as an editor, I laid everything out in a Google Doc, and then I just I would label folders, and put them in order, like, so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as they came through the video. And so it didn't get him like perfectly there, but it got him close.
See, I did that. I tried this once. I hired an editor to do one video just to see. And the problem is, if you have to do all of that stuff, you don't save any time. Like, I mean, once I have it all shot, and I mean, I have to shoot it, I can just hammer it into DaVinci very quickly and get it edited. That's not the problem.
Yeah.
Right? If I have to tell someone how to do all of that, then it's not going to save me any time.
Well, you don't have to tell them if you don't care about what it looks like.
Well, I care. So I think I mentioned in the past that I test pretty highly on the autism scale for certain things. Accuracy is one of them.
Yeah. I get the challenge there for sure. But yeah, editing is time intensive.
Oh, here's a question.
Another loaded question for you.
Yeah, if you had only one machine, the last machine on the planet to use in your business. Your business to use for business CNC or laser, which would you choose?
Like, are they asking CNC or laser or like model?
I think it's a choice between one or the other.
That's what I think.
Or if you have a favorite laser, you can pick that too.
Yeah. So, my opinion is CNC router. Just because of the versatility and the substantial of what you can make.
Yeah, I'm on the fence there, actually.
Oh, for me, it's a little easier because of what we do. For me, it'd be a laser. Because of what we make and what we do.
I definitely make more money with my CNC than I make with lasers. But like, add YouTube aside, but there's a lot of things you can do with a laser that you can't do with a CNC, and I know vice versa, right? But,
right.
But like, if I want to make a contoured bowl, or I did the video where I made dishes like plates on a CNC. You just can't do that with a laser, right? It's just not that tool. So I don't know. That's a really tough call for me. I would do what I do now. I'd have both, honestly.
Yeah, I can see both, especially, like Roger, you found some niches, and you can make great money with a CNC laser. I think both is possible. I would pick CNC router. It probably comes down to what we're most comfortable with. But the other thing too, the other reason why I pick CNC router is because the learning curve is steeper and there's less competition.
Yes, it's called barrier to entry.
The barrier to entry to laser
is expensive.
Yep.
And the learning curve is steeper, so fewer people will be in that market.
Yep.
Yeah, that is the one downside. It's the thing. It's another frustration point I have with lasers, right? People will say, "Oh, I bought my $200 Ray 5, and now I'm going to make $1 bazillion selling coasters or whatever. It's like, it's not that easy. If you were the only person on the planet with that laser selling coasters, you might. But if you go to a typical craft market these days, there's like rows full of these things, right?
Yeah.
So you need, it matters most. What matters most in the laser world is how creative you are. But you have to keep being creative, because if you take some cool design to a market, the next time you go to that market, everyone's going to have that one.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
they'll copy it. They'll
Yeah.
copy things in a heartbeat if they're successful.
So you really have to work design wise too. And it's less so with it, like less so with a CNC. Like, I mean, I have a CNC. If Andy made anything, I could look at it and go, yeah, I can make one of those.
Yep.
But there's a barrier there. I need to spend, $6,000 for a CNC plus another $1,000 for the software at least. And
then
and then spend how many hours? How long is your video tutorial on CNC business? 8
Right.
hours, 10 hours?
Yeah, and I think we talked about this before. Something unique to CNC routers, right, is tool paths, and
Yes.
being able to think in terms of tool paths. And I think you and I have talked about this. Is like, you can look at something and you can generally really quickly figure out like what toolpath strategies to make that shape, to make that object.
Yeah.
And
I think more importantly, before you continue,
Yeah.
the distinction is, if I look at something and go, I don't know what toolpath to use, I'm going to go find out.
right. Right. Or like, yeah, the CNC just can't make that. or at least a 3-axis machine cannot make that.
Yes. Well, I
'Cause
have a
there are
4-axis machine, so
Yes. Yeah. So, but I think that's a skill that I definitely take for granted, that I've developed now over, 7 or 8 years, of, that's definitely a skill that can be developed, but has to be developed. And that's just repetition of projects.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Honestly, one of my favorite things to do is walk around a store and look at, like, go to the home decor section or the kitchen section and just pick up items and think how I would make this on a CNC. I know it sounds nerdy, but it's
it is nerdy, but it's, I have a phone full of things that I've shot in stores.
Yep.
Oh, I do that too, especially if I happen to be in Hobby Lobby for something. I'll go up and look and see what's being made, and there's something I could do, and I'll snap a picture of it.
Yeah. Now, for people who have lasers, you can do the same thing. Like, if you go to any of these stores, there's always these kitschy signs you can hang up on, like welcome signs, those kinds of things. Look at them and take a picture of them and bring them back to your shop. You can make signs very quickly.
Yep.
And, most of them have like some time-honored slogan on them. Well, those things aren't trademarked, so have at it. Where are we here? Roger.
STL Flex. I have heard of it. I have never looked at it.
I haven't either. I actually just looked at STL Flicks, I think today or yesterday. It came up in one of my searches, and I thought, I've never heard of them, but I've never used anything from them. Well, Jack too. It would be a hard pick between a laser and a CNC.
Yeah, it just depends what you do. Like for me, my best fit would be a laser, but that's because of what we make.
Yeah, you have to put things always in perspective, right? So one of the things that lasers are really good for, if you have a workshop, is burning your logo onto everything you do. You can do that with a CNC, but it'll take 20 seconds with a laser. It'll take probably 2 minutes with a CNC.
And it'll probably look better with a laser too.
It might. Well, it stands out more, right? It's more contrasty.
Yep.
So, I think the right answer is you need both of them. And you pick the one that's the fastest. Like, there's things that I built a router table. Actually, I'm going to do a video on it at some point. But I built a router table, and I use it for putting roundovers on the outside of boards and stuff. I could use my CNC. I have used my CNC in the past, but it takes, if you got like 5 minutes of setup, a couple minutes to run the job, you got to flip it over, do the same thing. With a table router, you can do that in a minute. So it's a case of using the right tool for the job.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
Yeah, don't use a wrench for a hammer. Is the answer.
I mean, I do, but
well, yeah, we all have. And every time it's the wrench slips off as I'm hammering and hits my hand, and then I go, yeah, okay, now I remember why I don't do this.
Exactly.
Currently making some coasters. I'll curb my editorial. For craft markets, animal shelter. That's a good cause. Also got a bunch of trays and charcuterie boards. Perfect. Sell them all.
yeah.
So Rick thinks I hate coasters. I don't hate coasters, but I don't want to be in the market where you'll sell coasters. Right? I don't want to go to weekend craft markets. It's just not my thing. But if you go to those, you're going to sell a boatload of coasters, right? Because people have cash, and it's like, oh, it's only $10 or $12, whatever. I'll buy them.
Yeah, any time at a craft market, I don't do craft markets anymore, but back when we did, if it was under $10, you sell it. It didn't matter what it was.
Yeah. See, and if I was going to hire someone to help me in my business, that's what I'd hire them for. You go work on the weekend markets, and I'll just stay here and make stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tim engraves his logo with lasers. I guess that was the comment. Hobby Lobby. Yeah. All the art. Yes. This is the other thing we're fighting against now, right? As far as creativity, everything. And I'm guilty of it too. I use AI for everything now.
I've started using a lot of it too.
Yeah. Yep. It's all AI now. And I mean, if you're I won't say if you're a true artist, you're out of business, because people appreciate true art. Like, it's just AI just can't reproduce that, at least not yet. But the problem is people will look at this AI art and go, well, that's pretty good. And then they'll look at your real art and they'll go, okay, that's slightly better. This one is $10. This one's $5,000. Right. And it's an unfortunate situation. AI is, I'm not a doomsayer, but AI is definitely going to hurt the maker business in the long run for true creative people.
Yep.
I use AI because I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, but
well, I can't draw stick people. That's why I use it.
Yeah.
Well, you can always get, if it's CAD related, you go to Fiverr for get some design work done.
Yeah. So LTX asked, do you know of anyone that can reach out? I can reach out to for some design work that I haven't had time to get to. Yeah, I use Fiverr.
Really? You can pay me.
There you go. You can pay Steve. It depends what it is. It depends what it is. Like, I don't use Fiverr all the time, but there are some. I found some good CAD people on Fiverr, and it's super cheap, and it's like it's not worth my time to do this if someone else can do it.
Yeah. It's. I've thought about it. The problem is I've just been using Fusion so long that it takes me no time to whip things together, at least for myself, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I actually enjoy doing it too. So it's one of those things that I don't mind doing. Yeah, Fusion 360 design for my Ender. Yeah, so one of the things Fusion can do is it can export STL files. So you can go right from your CAD system to your printer, which is how I built this kind of thing. But the only other less expensive software I know out there is FreeCAD. It's got free right in the name. The latest, they finally actually went to a proper release of it after 10 years. They were always like some beta version. And I haven't looked at it, but a buddy of mine has looked at it and said, if you go through their tutorials, it's not bad. But there's also, like Jack mentions, Tinkercad here.
Oh, yeah. I use Tinkercad for actually some fairly complex things.
Yeah. And there is a free version of Fusion 3. I think it's just called Fusion now. It's not 360 anymore, but there is a free version. There's limits on it though. If you make X number of $1,000 a year, you can't use it. Now, how they monitor that, I think it's more the honor system, but and if you wanted to do things for CNC and you wanted to pipe right from Fusion to your CNC, like the tool paths, then you need the commercial version, but you can export an STL file and send it. Tinkercad's okay. And I actually started with Tinkercad back in many, many moons ago.
If I drop this Fiverr link in the chat, will LTX be able to see it?
Yep.
All right.
Eventually, when we catch up. What time is it? Oh, we got like 15 minutes left.
15 minutes.
So, yeah, if anybody's got questions, now is the time because we're running out of time. Yeah, AI can do art. It can't load and run your hobby laser. Well, yeah. So this.
But can it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would put behind any of these kind of sensational statements, I would put yet.
Yes. Yeah, it can't right now. So
yeah, because you know that once AI is in the mainstream, which it's basically there now, somebody is, and I mean you see it with Xtool and a number of other laser companies. Once it's in the mainstream, then they will start to leverage it, right? So it's only a matter of time before somebody has a CNC machine that does the art, grabs a piece of wood out of the bin beside it, and sticks it on the CNC and cuts it out, right? It's only a matter of time.
So my hope is that, and I've been pushing with the companies that I have relationships with in the CNC space, like there is a huge opportunity for the CNC workflow to improve, to make it more frictionless, right?
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this earlier with all the variables and things at play. I think that's where AI steps in. It's like, yeah, I can solve this, and it makes that the barrier to entry, the ease of use to CNC, it has a long ways to go to get to, and I don't know if it ever will, but to get to the ease of use of a laser, to get the ease of use of 3D printing.
It's starting to appear in 3D printing. Now it's not going to load your material yet, but I mean, I conceive in the not too distant future a day when you can go to a Chat GPT type client and say, make me a bowl that's this dimensions and that deep and push the go button, right? And it does it.
Yeah.
Out a mysterious black box, and out the other side pops your bowl, right, or your tray. I can see that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the toolpaths, right, with CNC.
Yeah, but that's right in AI's engine wheelhouse, right?
Exactly.
Anything that's sufficiently complex, AI is very good at analyzing and simplifying.
Yep.
And the beauty, it's a double-edged sword, but in this case, the beauty of it is you don't have to think about toolpaths anymore. The downside is this is like using a calculator and never learning how to do math the long way. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
You just know the answers. You don't know how to get there.
And I mean, honestly, I'm a little guilty of that. I don't know how to program manually. I don't know how to write G code.
Yeah, nobody does. I mean, you can
Well,
look at it. It's pretty simple, right? But
there's old
but why would you?
out there. But there's old machinists out there that, like, I remember typing it out. And so I think that's, that.
Well, you see, I grew up in software engineering, writing like machine code, right? And that was like the equivalent of being like a guru, right? Because nobody knew what was going on. They just knew when they had software problems, they would go and talk to you and you'd do types of magic and things would happen. Nobody does that anymore. Like we're even beyond writing in high level languages. Now we're just getting AI to write our code for us. And I had a conversation with somebody. I was doing a little work and I said, why don't you just get AI to build this? And this guy happened to be a software engineer. And he said, well, AI writes bad code. I said, so do software engineers. What's your point? Right? It's just AI is going to write bad code faster. And I think we're going to get there with design too. It's a little sad, but
yeah.
But there'll always be, I mean, look at today, right? Where you have a CNC, but I guarantee you there's some old guy sitting in front of his lathe or some piece of equipment who's going to make what you make, but he's going to make it by hand.
Yeah.
Right. Inlay is a classic example, right?
Yes.
I showed inlay made with a CNC to a guy who spent like 16 years learning inlay. And he looked at it and he didn't want to say it was better than his, but you could tell that he thought that this was like the devil's work, right? And this is that whole conversation, getting back to the question about whether a CNC is cheating or not, right? It's not cheating, because what's really important in the whole maker process is the creativity, the inspiration, not the tool you use. But I think CNC is going to remove that too, or AI rather. Right. Yep. Now, yeah. I mean, I know we're doomed when like my 85-year-old mother can type a thing into a piece of code and get something made for her. Like, this is when I used to write a lot of software. My mentality was I'm always writing software for my mother, because she's not a computer person, so it has to work for her. And we're going to get that way with craft too. Yeah, the replicator. I long for one of these things. It's basically a 3D printer, but it's exceedingly fast. All right, let's see if there's any more questions here.
Yeah, it's just the advancement of technology. There's always something new, faster, better, easier.
Herb brings up an interesting point. Like, he's been using CNC for 50 years. When I started working in the mid 80s, we had the company I work for had a machine shop, and it had 2 CNC mills. And the guy who ran the shop, his name was Wolf. You had to go in there. You had to basically plead with him to get something made. You couldn't watch it. You couldn't be in the shop. You couldn't certainly touch the machine, right? That was magic. And that was, 40 years ago.
Yep.
So it's been around a while. We've just kind of lowered the bar to the point where normal people can do that. You don't have to be Wolf. You can be, Andy.
You can just be me.
Yeah, just plain old you. Yeah, Alt Mill has a...
Yeah, they just came out with a 2x4 not too long ago.
Yeah, they did. They used punch tapes.
Yeah, I remember those.
Somebody would take the AutoCAD design and do some magical plug-in thing, and it would spit out a tape. And you'd wander it down to the machine shop and say, make this. Like, that was back in the days when it was magic.
Yeah, the K2 has that bigger build area. It's a nice big build area. So and I am seriously considering getting the K2 Plus. Like I say, even though it is a quality product, it seems to be a first-class machine.
Creality will be standing there going, wow, Roger, bow before us. You've been locked out of your bamboo, so. Now we have you. I think the problem Bamboo has is they've annoyed enough people that are openly saying I'm never buying another one of these.
That's a
And
problem.
at a time when Creality has comparable, if not better, machines, right?
And it's the same price. A K2 is $1,500. X1 Carbon with the AMS is $1,500.
Yeah.
And the Creality one is actually has a bigger build area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's probably a
you know,
problem.
this is one of those times when you get customers migrating, right? And once you lose them, it's hard to get them back.
Oh yeah.
You know, and 2 years from now, people will go Bamboo. Oh yeah, that was that company that used to be good at one time.
Yeah, they made a
Yeah.
good printer, but remember they made
Yeah.
people mad, made a bunch
They
of people
did
mad.
this thing, and I just got away from it, right?
Yep.
I'm comparing it to like when they came out with New Coke. Well, that was a boondoggle, and the other one was what Bud Light did with their cans. Lost their entire first place market. And then HP with locking down their printers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just boneheaded corporate moves.
Yeah. I don't. Well, I mean, I get the print. I don't justify the printer locking down, but I get why they did it, because there was such a race to the bottom in printer hardware that the only way they could make money is selling the cartridges, right?
Yeah.
So Casebook asked a question. That's another new name. Welcome
Welcome
Casebook.
in.
So Andy has an answer for this question.
Neither. They're both Canadian. No, I'm joking. I love my Canadian friends.
Yeah, well, you're going to pay 25% more for it soon, too. The bad news is you won't have any power to plug it in. We're gonna cut that, too.
So this is a good question, though, and this is challenging to me because I don't have a dog in this fight. Like, I don't have any experience with either of these machines. I've just been in the CNC space for almost 8 years now. I'll go alt mill.
Yeah, they're very close, right?
They're very
I'd also
close.
put Shapeoko in here as well. Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you consider that one at the same time?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you're in. If this is what you're looking for a CNC, you're in the right market.
Yep.
Like, these are all good machines.
You're not going to go wrong. And honestly, we can ask. We can go through the song and dance of, well, what do you want to use it for? What's your goals? Budget type of things like that. Yeah, this next one's interesting. Maybe Bamboo will merge with Glowforge.
Sorry to pull you off focus there.
Yeah, it's all right. Multicraft Neo. Maybe Bamboo will merge with Glowforge. Maybe. I doubt it.
So anyway, yeah, I think any of the kind of top contenders in the market, in the entry level business market, we'll say, so that's Glowforge, Shapeoko, Altmill, they're all pretty solid. Like,
yeah, you're gonna have. So the reason, spoiler alert, I prefer Shapeoko, and I push. If anybody asks me this question, I push them to Shapeoko if they're in this market, and depending on their experience. If they have zero CAD CAM experience, that's where Shapeoko really shines, in my opinion. There is, like, if you go and look at the resources that they've built out, their customer support, like, they have full free online classes, like courses, and they've just really, like, Shapeoko is doing a fantastic job on competing on value, and because as you guys know, like with CNC, a machine, it doesn't matter what machine you get, that in itself doesn't make you successful or not successful. Like, you could get any one of those machines alone, and you still have to figure out how to use the thing, right? And if you have zero experience. So that's why I like Shapeoko, because they've heavily invested into their customer success. Not that the other ones haven't, but there's definitely a focus there.
Whether they're doing it as a survival skill or not is a different discussion. But yeah, they're definitely spending time. So I don't know if a CNC coming with a table is a big deciding factor. If you're talking just about the wood surface, that thing's, especially when you're first starting out, that thing's going to last about 2 months before you're going to have to replace it anyway. I go through, so I have a Onefinity. It's basically a frame and I can put it on any table I want. I go through probably 2 sets of spoil boards a year, sometimes 3, depending on what I'm doing. So whatever table that's coming with it, you definitely won't have it by the end of the year if you're using this machine a lot, especially when you're starting out, because inevitably you're going to drill a hole that's supposed to be, 8 millimeters and you drill, 27 millimeters. And
yeah,
it just happens. It's called a spoil board for a reason.
Exactly. So, alt mill is going to be faster.
I don't know about that. But.
In it, regardless, like, okay, let's say the max speed on a Shapeoko is 200 inches per minute, and maybe it rapids at 300 or 400 or whatever, right? And then you have Onefinity where you're, maybe your max cutting speed's 400 inches per minute. These aren't exact. I'm rounding here, but in alt mill is 10 or 20% faster. Let's say that's the case. Like, how many times if I asked myself this question, how many times have I ran a toolpath at more than 200 inches per minute in the last 7 years? Maybe twice.
Yeah. And the thing is, a 200 inch per minute printer or CNC and a 400 inch per minute CNC don't, like, the 400 inch per minute one isn't going to be twice as fast, right? Because you got acceleration, deceleration, and that's the same pretty much for all CNCs. So it'll be marginally faster. In the end, if you paid for double the speed, you're going to get maybe 20% faster.
Yeah, and it's that concept of, like, when it comes to CNC, like, there are a lot of things to take in consideration about, one, quality of cut. Like, just because you can do 600 inches per minute, what material are you using? What bits are you using? What's your work holding strategy? And what is your finished product like? Because I can tell you, in some materials, you don't ever want to go that fast.
Most bits wouldn't handle that speed anyway.
Right. So there's a lot of limiting factors, and these CNC companies are fantastic about, marketing speed, but speed in my mind is not the number one deciding factor.
Yeah.
Well, lasers are doing the same thing with the speed thing. We can go, some ridiculous speed. Well, you're not going to engrave anything. You
right.
60,000 millimeters a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're not going to do anything with it, but you can watch it spin around the table real quick.
So in the skill level, I know we're almost at time here, but the skill level, not saying you can't get there, but the machining skill level and experience level to machine at those speeds, the beginner is years away from getting, because there's a learning curve. So all 3 of the machines, Shapeoko, Onefinity, alt mill, like, performance wise, they're all comparable. They're all similar in rigidity, similar in stepper motors, similar.
Let's just make sure we're clear on that one, right?
Very similar in stepper motors.
Sure that alt mill doesn't have slower stepper motors?
Yeah, I know, right? Now, if any machine or anybody in here is, if I said anything that's wrong, feel free to correct me, but this is just my opinion. And speed is not the top deciding factor for me personally. But
yeah, precision. It's all about precision.
Yeah.
And in general, precision doesn't come with speed usually.
No. You know how scary a CNC machine moving at 600 inches per minute is? Like, the first time? I mean,
yeah. It's every once in a while I'll have, it's not even running on the material, it's just moving.
And you're like,
and it's like, like you're over here, you're about to put your hand down on the workspace because and the thing goes home or something, and it's just like this, thing bludgeoning across the to your hand, right? And it's like, holy cow, almost lost a finger. Like you could lose a finger. You could, if you have it in the wrong place while the CNC's moving.
Yeah. So
all right, we should wind down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Rick will be happy that we didn't burn the place down while he was gone.
Didn't say too many bad things about him. So
we didn't. We didn't.
Parting thoughts, gentlemen?
No, thanks for everyone being here and listening to us. Hopefully our conversations and answers have been helpful.
Yeah, we do tend to ramble sometimes, but we try to get to the points. But I did see a lot of new names in here tonight, so thanks for coming out, and hopefully we see you again, Roger.
Yeah, glad to see everybody, and we'll see you again here next week. Bring your questions.
Yep, and thanks. We'll try to have Rick back next week so he can keep us in line, and we'll see you hopefully next week.
All right, see ya.
Ciao.